this painting, we'll be doing a scene that I saw on the side of the highway. So those rocks are right down to a 4-lane highway. Boy, we had a lot of fun with the colors, golden hour colors.
Welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Joe. It's good to be here. We've got a fun project today. We're going to be working from a photo I took on the side of the highway. My wife and I driving down the highway, and I'm like, turn around quick. And so she turned around. I parked on the side of a 4-lane divided highway. I hiked around dodging 60-mile-an-hour vehicles taking these photos. Well, this was one of the ones I took, so it's just right along the side of a highway, those cool cliffs.
And who would have thought that painting could be so dangerous?
Yeah, no kidding. I risked my life for these photos, so I hope my listening audience appreciates it. So anyway, I want to start with a chip brush. This thing here, you buy these at Lowe's for next to nothing. This is a 2-inch chip brush that's seen its better days, so the ends are kind of stiff, which gives me better texture. This one here, the ends are still smooth. I might use both of these in this, but...
Now, I've never seen one like that at Lowe's. I'm assuming you went at that with a scissors or something.
Well, no, they look a lot better than... They look more like this when you buy them.
Okay.
But yeah, this is just,
That's just use?
Yeah, it's
Really?
just like when the guy doesn't take good care of his brushes, that's what they end up looking like.
Yes,
so.
my grandfather would be very disappointed.
Well,
he was very particular about his paintbrushes being clean.
I am about most of my brushes, but these types of brushes, I find that sometimes they look better after a little bit of abuse. So we're going to do this. I drew this a little bit out with pencil, and I kind of regret it because doing that, I already feel like I've got constraints. And this first step is something that is best done when you feel liberated and unconstrained and all that. So
I'm not even sure we can see that pencil on the camera.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, I actually erased a lot of it. So yeah.
Well, you can wipe it out with your chip brush now.
That's right. So anyway, I'm going to fly into this. It's the heart of it is this orangey color that
my favorite color.
Yes, it's just a wonderful color.
And if you can make it transition, then it becomes your favorite color.
Yes.
For those of you who've been watching a long time,
you
Farley's favorite color is colors that transition.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're going to just fly in and do this. And I'm going to make this go all the way off the top.
I've been waiting for us to do something that really went over the top.
Yeah. Well, this is it. And now I'm adding green to it for this down here. Okay, so now we're getting some of these darker tones in here.
As we get further down to the rocks and
stuff.
Tree trunks.
Along the bottom. Yes. And I'm trying to keep all the edges real soft so I don't have a lot to fix. Don't have a lot to go back and adjust whenever I, like the tops of these, I'm trying to keep it real light. So right now I'm using the transparent red iron oxide and the phthalo blue. Now I didn't go through my colors, and I should have. So let's do that right now. So titanium white, yellow ochre, bismuth vandate yellow, cadmium orange, quinacridone red, transparent red iron oxide, phthalo blue, the red shade, teal, chromium oxide green, and Payne's gray. So right now I'm using just all of these warm colors. I haven't picked up any of the Quin red yet, but all those other colors are getting a lot of use.
Speaking of color, this photo has more brilliance than our average photo that we use.
Yes, it does.
There's a lot of contrast.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, for those of you who like color, this may be a fun one for you guys to get involved and do.
And it just goes to show you, when you get the right light, even in winter, you can get lots of cool colors.
Boy, that's so true. So true. Because this was, a typical brown day, but at the end of the day, this was the last, the golden hour of the day.
I was just going to say, that's why they call it golden hour.
Yeah, and it was just, the colors were glorious. Okay, and then there's some of that light yellowish orange color in the snow down here lower.
That lower leftish area?
Yeah, this down here.
Yep.
And you know what I might do, Joe? I might try to get a little bit of this quinacridone red in here.
Mm.
It's a
Ooh.
little bit too pink.
But it's only your first layer, so
Yeah.
it's kind of the under.
Yeah, so I'm going to put a little bit of it up here too. I want to try to match the color in those rocks, the light color that's in those rocks. And I'm going to have to get a little bit more white. I already used up all my white.
So the cliffside color there, the tannish,
Yes.
tannish gray.
Yeah. Well, this stuff here.
Yeah, yep.
So the challenge with this color is I've got to make sure it separates from the color of the snow in the shadow. So the snow shadow is a kind of a really light blue that's got a little bit of teal in it, I think. And
It's
the
pulling
color
reflection
of
off
those
the
rocks.
sky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The color of those rocks is more, it's got more of a Payne's gray base than it does a teal base.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm going to grab is the Payne's gray. And I'm going to go a little bit darker than I think it is because it's like a value of 3, whereas the snow that's in shadow is a value of 2. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. And I might even grab just a little bit of that.
Boy, Kelly turned the car around just in time because that lighting was almost gone.
Yeah, no kidding. It was leaving fast whenever I was photographing it.
It's one of the things I love about living in this part of the country is that we've got so much terrain differences and different types of scenes you can encounter.
Yeah, I like that. So now I'm getting into these really deep colors in here. And for the really deep colors, you can almost use anything you want. If you've got a value of 8 or 9 out of a 1 through 9 value scale, if you've got 8 and 9 values, which is kind of what some of these are here, I mean, you can grab any 8 or 9 value color that you want, and it's probably going to work okay. Okay.
Now you're just looking for your general shapes in the various areas.
Yeah, I'm trying to find where some of those darks are. And then I could go darker still for some of those rock shapes that are over there.
Especially since it's in the lower corner.
Yeah.
Away from the star of the show.
Mm-hmm. Also, this is giving this time to dry enough so that I can put sky on top of it. I wanted to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
I just now noticed that our sky area is orange right now.
Yeah, well, I did that on purpose because I want there to be, I want to do a sky that has a little bit of that orange color in it. So I'm not going to go, as blue, crystal blue as the sky is in the photograph. I'm going to back off of that a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to do some of this snow color.
There's our yellow snow again.
Yeah. And what have we said over and over?
Just don't eat it.
Just don't eat that stuff. Oh my goodness. How many times do I have to go over that with people?
No, don't worry. It's lemon. That was from Monsters, Inc.
Oh, really?
It was our oldest favorite movie. We watched it over and over and over.
That's funny. Okay.
Yeah, this is definitely a much more rough block in than we typically do. I like the variety.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I've got a light area kind of in the middle, right there, which I'll fill in now.
Yeah, so this right here is kind of in lieu of toning the canvas.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like selective toning.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's a good way to put it. So, trying to get a few more of these darks in here. And, I've heard it said that a good painting, a good landscape painting has a strong abstract painting as a foundation. So that's kind of what we're going for right now, is just a good, strong
So say that
abstract.
again.
Well, a good landscape painting has a strong abstract foundation.
Okay.
So, in other words, it ought to work if you took out everything that looks like trees and rocks and all that. Hopefully it would still work as a strictly an abstract painting. So right now I've got something that I think is kind of a cool abstract painting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now these are my first strokes that are actually starting to define rocks that I see and snow that's going around those rocks.
So an abstract painting is kind of like if you were to have the focus completely off in your photo.
Yeah.
It's really fuzzy.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
You'd still see all the elements, but just in color and lack of detail.
Yeah, good way to say it.
That's good, because I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yes, you do. Don't believe him. He knows what he's talking about.
I don't know. You're the only artist I've been talking with in the past, several years. So I might only know Farleyisms.
Okay, so these shadows here, I can't really see it in the photo, but I'm kind of assuming that as these pieces of snow go farther down, they're getting a little less light. So way down here, they're fairly dark blue, probably a 5 value. And as they go up, they'll go lighter, like 5 to 4, and then up here to a 3, and then all the way up here to a 2 or a 1. And up here, the color switches from the blue to something. It kind of goes into that violet color, and then it goes to the yellow. So I want to get the violet color is kind of an in-between color that transitions us from the blue to the yellow. So for all of this snow, this is kind of the magic of this scene in my mind, is the color of the snow changing from the sun yellow snow to the in-between violet colored snow, then to the blue snow down here.
Again, something you would not get without golden hour.
Exactly.
You're talking about values earlier. When we first started working together, I had no idea what you were talking about when you kept saying values.
Oh.
It wasn't until you talked about the concept of if you looked at it all in grayscale, that's where you would see the values.
Yes. Then it kind of clicked.
From dark to light. That's when I finally understood what value meant.
Oh, cool. I need to define that more often. The values are the darks and the lights of a painting, and in my scale in my head, I have a scale that goes from, and it's not just me, but a lot of people use a scale that goes from 1 to 9. So 1 is real close to white, 9 is real close to black, and then all the colors in between, which vary, but that gives you 3 dark values, 7, 8, 9, 3 light values, 1, 2, and 3, and 3 mid-tone values, 4, 5, and 6. So that's to me, it's kind of it makes sense in my head.
Helps you narrow it down.
Yeah.
When in reality, there's nothing is solidly 4, 5, or 6, or 7,
right.
8, or 9.
Exactly.
It's on the continuum.
Yes. Okay, now I'm getting some of this yellow snow here, snow in the sun, and some of that is right here. One of the secrets of doing looser work is learning to lay strokes down and leave them, and I'm going to practice that on this particular painting and just see if I can lay down strokes and leave them. In one sense, every painting is practice. So,
like medicine.
Yeah, they practice medicine. Lord help us. No offense to those doctors and nurses out there. My daughter's a nurse, and I have so much respect for her.
Yep. My son is on track to become a nurse.
Oh, cool.
Unless he changes his mind again. But yeah, they hired him on at the hospital as a PCA.
Really?
He's only 17.
Wow.
They had to bend some rules.
That's so cool.
Yep. But yeah, I've never seen somebody love a job so much. He just absolutely loves it. So you're talking about just putting down a stroke and leaving it. So you're saying, do you have the mindset then of you'll come back and adjust it later if it needs it?
Yeah, if I need to. Okay, so there's all of these dark and light areas that are, it's the transition between the rocks and the trees behind it. So just trying to mimic some of that back here.
What a great landscape that is in that picture.
Isn't it fun?
I mean, the depth to it and the contours of the hills and the partially melted areas and
Yeah.
and all the light you've been talking about, differences there. It's just so neat.
Oh, it is. It's just lovely. One of the things that is important doing stuff like this is that all of your strokes need to be distinctly different shapes. You don't want strokes that mimic another one that you just placed somewhere else. So different sizes, different shapes, different, yeah. All this, I'm just trying to vary all that I'm doing here.
Again, avoiding patterns.
Yes. And then this little spot right here, this whole area here, it kind of blends from the yellow to through the pink to the or whatever that middle color is. And since it's kind of right in the middle, I really want to accentuate this. And this is where I'm kind of playing with what I'm seeing just a little bit, because I don't see those colors in there quite like that, but sometimes you paint what you wish you saw. That's kind of what I'm doing there.
Mm. Using your artistic license.
Yes. All right. I like that. Okay, I'm going to go in with some darker colors now. That'll go into this area right here, because some of that is rocks. This going back and forth between rock and snow or whatever, this kind of thing is really fun. You have to really pay attention because you can get lost and put strokes where they probably shouldn't be. But okay, one of the things, my darker color here, my shadow color, is lighter because it's in full sun. So like that rock and that rock are equal in the sense that they're both shadow of rock, except this is in full sun, surrounded by full sun, and that's in shadow. So that's why that is a value of 8 and this is a value of 5. I mean, there's a big difference there. And it'll keep that whole area looking brighter.
It's funny because that's not something our eyes automatically notice looking at the photo until you really compare.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I've seen some people do some, I don't know what they call it, like pixel peeping, where they'll like take certain pixels out of the picture and show them side by side with this other side and go see how different that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Blow it up really big.
Right.
But it's those differences that causes the eye to believe the scene.
Exactly. That's a good way to say it. It makes the whole thing look more believable. Okay, like this is a gully kind of thing that goes through here. And then some of the snow back here, I've got to get it the shadow side painted in. Okay. I mean, right now, it's just, I don't have anything that even looks like a landscape, do I? But it's coming. All right. Let's, is that dry enough? I think so. Okay, I think I can do a sky now. We'll pause for station identification.
As we cleanse our palette.
As we cleanse our palette, yes.
Interesting that those same words get used in food.
Yes, it is. I've said before, if your palette is a train wreck, your painting may well be a train wreck. So, if you want good clean colors, keep your palette clean and your brushes clean.
Speaking of, it looks like our white's pretty well polluted there.
It is, you're right. Okay, so I am going to use some of that white, some of that polluted white.
It's probably not a bad thing. I mean, unless you're going for a very specific color.
Yep. And I'm going to mix in some of my ochre color because, like I said, I don't want this to be electric blue.
Yeah, it's quite blue in the picture.
Yeah, it is.
And that would distract from all the beautiful light on the hillside.
I think so. This kind of helps with the color harmony. Probably should have wiped that spot off before I laid that white down in there, but I didn't, so.
When you've got some really bright colors like that, and like we have in this one, with it being acrylic, do you find yourself fighting against the fact that it dries darker?
I've kind of learned to deal with that, so I don't think about that very often. Yeah. Occasionally I'll think of it, and I'll have to, if I'm making colors like this, I do have to account for the fact that they're going to dry darker.
Oh, I see. You've got some sky coming through over there.
Yeah, and I'm going to give it a little bit more oomph than it's got. Put a little bit more sky back in there than there is, just because I like that little piece of sky.
Well, and you always have the option, too, to drop in sky holes at the end.
Yeah, and I'm going to do some of that right now, too. So, this is, I'm just kind of putting in things that I see kind of the essence of where the sky holes are and the direction they're pointing, they're facing or whatever. I'm not painting specific sky holes as much as I'm just trying to mimic the overall look of what I see. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Kind of highlighting the flow of where it's...
Yeah.
This has become my favorite phase of a painting, where it's not really looking like something specific yet.
Yeah.
But all the structure and colors are there.
Yeah.
It used to be frustrating to me because I would be just going, I don't see it.
What's happening?
Yeah. But then if I had to learn how to squint.
Yeah.
And then I could see it. You'd probably be amazed at the things I haven't said over the years.
Like, what on earth are you doing?
What is that? And then I think we get to the end and I'm like, oh.
It did turn out. Now, there's occasions when they don't turn out, and what happens is those never get on a video. They never go onto a website.
Exactly.
It doesn't happen very often. But
we've had very few of those.
Yeah.
We've had more that didn't make it from technical difficulties than from painting mishaps.
Okay, now we've got trunk colors we could put in. I kind of want to see if I can adjust the outer edge of the trees. So what I'm going to do is I'm mixing in this yellow ochre into the sky color, and I might even mix a little quin red into it as well.
So you're talking about the edge?
Yeah, this edge right here. Yeah, because it's kind of a different color than the bright orange. And I kind of want to see if I can capture that. And I may not have the right brush. I probably need a bigger brush for this.
You're going to need a bigger brush.
And what this will do, I'm hoping it will accentuate the orangey yellow, or the kind of orange colors in the middle there. So just a little bit too much orange. If I can, if you want to emphasize a color, use less of it, not more of it. So if I want this orange to really pop, I want to get other colors that are not orange to kind of surround the orange. And see how that makes this a little more exciting?
Mm-hmm.
Now there's another thing happening in there too. I see a brighter yellowish color than the color I have in a lot of that orange tree stuff. So in the middle of this, I'm going to try to get some of that color in there. The brush is dripping water.
Now we're doing watercolors.
Yes. Okay, that's a good color, I think. Can you see that in there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's subtle.
It's subtle. On the video, you might not even be able to see what I'm doing. But I'm putting just a little bit of yellow and yellow ochre into the middle of this. And it's kind of brightening it up. Mm-hmm. And then some of that color is down here also in those whatever's down there. Okay, I like that.
It's making me hungry for mustard.
So we have tree trunks, and these need to stop and start, because if I put a dark tree trunk and go whoosh like that, it's going to be way too much. So these trunks kind of, there's limbs in front of them. That's why they kind of stop and start. And down at the base is where it's a little more solid because there's not as many limbs in front of it. It's a pretty good start. There's some of these tree trunks that are way down the bluff here, like way down here somewhere. And then I like to try to make each trunk a little bit different, a little different color, a little, make something different about it, because I've noticed that even in a woods just chock full of straight trees, if you start looking at the trunks, they tend to vary. Some of them are dark against light, some of them are light against dark. I mean, it's amazing how much variety in the color you'll see in tree trunks. So they're not just standard brown. I mean, there's all kinds of variation to the color of the tree trunks.
And it's another thing too, that if you made them all the same color, your eye would just feel like there's something not right.
Yeah, exactly. Like these tree trunks are actually coming down below that, so it's down below the edge of that. And then this down here is really dark. I don't have it dark enough yet. And there's the back side of a evergreen in here.
Oh, sure. I see it. Really?
Yeah. And down here it's dark still. And these cedars are the Missouri standard cedar. It's called red cedar. I think it might even be one of the state trees, or I don't know, something like that. Maybe not, but it's a common sight in Missouri, these red cedars. And this is one reason I think they call them that, is in the winter they get pretty red. They're still kind of got a green hue, a little bit of a green hue to them, but there's a lot of red in it. And red and green obviously are opposite on the color wheel, so it seems like two colors that wouldn't go together. But you look at these red cedars in the winter and you're like, I see red in that green.
Yeah, you see those in the wild a lot around here.
Yeah. A few more little sky holes in here. This right here, this goes way down, almost comes down to this tree. I think it does. Okay. All right, I kind of like that. Let's shift our gears and come down and start working on these rocks down low here. I'd like to give these a little less of this perfectly straight thing that's happening, because that's what the dynamite did, whenever they blew this out for the highway.
Oh, yeah, the drill holes.
Yeah, that's kind of what these are. So I don't really want to do perfect drill holes for this. We're going to mix it up a little bit.
Sure, that was a dangerous job.
Yeah.
At least the movie's depicted as having been a really dangerous job. I know I've talked about it before, but I would really love to do some camera work with you when you're doing a mural.
Oh, yeah.
Because I would love to see how all these same concepts scale to larger brushes and larger amounts of paint and.
Yeah, we'll have to do that one of these days.
Yeah. Not quite as many opportunities for murals as there are for regular paintings.
No. Not sure what I need to do here. I want those to blend in just a little better than they are.
A call for the fan brush?
Yeah, let's do that. I was just thinking that. Joe, you're like you started off as a videographer. Now you're my painter assistant or something. It's amazing.
Color commentary. See what I did there with the color. Speaking of color, I was thinking earlier, just random thoughts by Joe Schmidt. The yellow made me think of mustard.
Uh-huh.
It was years before I realized mustard seeds aren't yellow. The yellow doesn't come from mustard. It comes from turmeric.
Interesting.
In yellow mustard.
Yeah.
I just always assumed if you got some mustard seeds, they'd be bright yellow. Nope. Random thoughts.
As I get out to the edge, I work to make it more abstract, like this area right here. I mean, I kind of like it as is. It doesn't need very much added in here, but I'll just do a little bit. And then just a few little flecks of snow. And this snow color, like I said, it has teal in it. So, and then down at the bottom of that, it's darker. And then there's this little thing here. The trick is, one of the things I'm trying to do is use these shadows to define the contour of the snow.
Mm.
And I just lost a little bit of that contour, so I'm going to get it back with...
Oh, you brought it up too high?
Yeah. And then there's some of that snow that goes down here, down through here. So this snow, I need to keep that quin red in it so that it's blending into the stuff I've already done there. And as I go down, again, I'm going to go just a little bit darker. See, this is my favorite color, Joe. Color that transitions.
Mm-hmm. Boy, does it.
Yeah, there's a lot of transition in that, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to jump back up here on these trees. And I notice some red color. So whenever I see a color note in something, I just try to put it in right away. Just, I just saw some red areas in our photograph. So I just want to grab a color and see if I can stick it in there right where I see it. Because those shots of bright color are just so much fun. It's part of interpreting a scene, is spotting these random colors that they almost don't seem to go in the picture, or they seem to be in an odd color somewhere, but you just trust what you see and stick it in there.
Mm-hmm.
And again, sometimes it's a color I barely see or almost just wish I see, and I'll put it in there.
Yeah, I've noticed you do that near the end of paintings quite often.
Yes.
Try to do some sort of bright something.
Yeah.
Pure color right out of the tube.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need to be in the photo. It's there for your interest.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, as long as it's not just wrong.
These go all the way down to here. Isn't that interesting?
And two different colors from each other.
Yeah. Yep, you're right. Okay, I need a liner.
Got some one-liners.
Between me and you, we have way too many one-liners.
That's right. I try to curb that. Sometimes it doesn't work.
Okay, now there's a sunny side on these tree trunks, and they are very similar to the color of all the other branches, but I want them to stand out from the rest of it, so I'm having to experiment just to see what's going to show up.
Oh, I see. So you're going to use your liner down the right side of the dark trunks.
Yes.
Where the sun's coming up. Oh, sure. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's kind of nice, isn't it? Mm. Okay, I'm trying to give myself just a little bit of long limbs up here, but I don't need a lot.
A little detail goes a long way.
Yes.
I was thinking about that when you were doing that cliffside, lower right. That just that little bit of detail suggests enough for you to see what it is.
Yeah. And the higher I go, the lighter these colors are.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just barely showing up now. And then as I go work my way down, I start getting those colors back darker again. And then I need to do something to give the sunny side of those red cedars some color. Using green very sparingly here. Well, I don't even see much green in this. Go there. Kind of have to be a little bit fearless to do better paintings. You know, to do bold paintings, you kind of have to have an attitude that anything I mess up, I can go back and adjust and get it right, you know. Because there's a lot of this stuff I'm doing that I don't know if it's going to work when I do it, you know, but I just have to wing it, try it out, see if it flies. And if it doesn't, I can go back and change it, you know.
Kind of like when you're experimenting with spices and cooking.
Uh-huh.
It's like, try a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit less than that next time.
Exactly.
Except in painting, you can adjust it right now.
Yeah. Which reminds me, you know, I have 2 Indian son-in-laws from India.
Yes.
And
I bet you have some wonderful food.
Yes, we do. Well, I'm trying to learn to cook Indian. So I cooked an Indian dish a couple days ago, and it called for chili pepper, you know, the powder, and chili powder, whatever. Well, I made the mistake of using straight Indian chili powder.
Oh, that's hot.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yes.
So
that's not like the chili powder we use in American chili.
No, it's a totally different animal.
Yeah.
So it tasted good, but we all were looking for a fire extinguisher by the end of the meal.
Yeah. That's closer to like cayenne.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I see some sky holes that creep down farther. Let's get it done. They go down along the edge of this thing. I've got so many brushes in my water, it's ridiculous. Okay.
I have noticed sometimes you paint with lots of different brushes, and sometimes you just keep cleaning pretty much the same brushes.
Yeah.
Just whatever the mood hits you, huh?
I guess. So this is, you know, that's a tree there. And I've not painted a single branch in it, but it reads like a tree.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some lighter areas in here that are kind of part sky, part branch. There's quite a lot of that up here. And that actually comes down here even deeper into these trees. And I'm just barely dragging this brush over the top of this, so it's just kind of barely touching the canvas.
Do you call that lost edges?
Yeah, almost. These are almost completely lost edges, yeah. I need a little bit more definition in a few of these snow areas, like right through here. And then there's another shadow area back behind here. And then some of this back here is shadow cast by these trees. And I'm even going to put a shadow on this tree, even though it's already in the shadow. I'm going to assume that it's got a dark area right down here by the bottom of the trunk. And then a few grasses up here. And that's kind of what this is in here as well. So that's supposed to be grass. Doesn't read quite like grass, but almost. There. That helps.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Are we getting close?
Mm-hmm. I really like the colors of this one.
I do too. It's fun. And then there's some pieces of snow down here. So Plein Air Magazine does this thing called Acrylic Live, and they do Pastel Live, and they do Oil Live, whatever. Well, they asked me today to be one of the Acrylic Live faculty people, so me and you get to do a video for that. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Great. I
yeah.
love it. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. Okay. We are real close here. I don't have this defined over here on the right side.
The lower right corner?
Yeah, this right here, because this actually is that kind of thing. And then some of there's a lot of really deep colors right in through here. Okay, so this color, I need to do the rock going up here now. I'm trying to change it to that more of that Payne's gray base.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, there's probably not a lot more I need to do over there. Okay, Joe, help me out here. What am I missing? My painting assistant.
Mm-hmm. Not seeing anything glaring.
Well, that's good. Boy, that is some bright orange, isn't it? Oh my goodness, it's electric.
Boogie, woogie, woogie.
All right, done number one. Yeah. Well, kind of have to know when to stop when it comes to little detaily things like this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't always get it right. Sometimes I should have stopped 20 minutes before I did.
Are there any pops of bright color that you want to add?
Well, that's a good idea. It's got quite a lot of bright color already, doesn't it?
It does, but
you're
I just
right.
asked the question because normally near the end.
I know. That's a good thought. I need to do something about this. It looks messy through here. Well, we're getting really close, Joe. I feel it.
I feel it in my bones.
And I could probably give these rocks over here just a little bit more definition. And this could go darker. Well, that really made that pop, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's like those last little shadows you add to like riverbanks and stuff.
Yeah.
Just sell the contours.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm starting to piddle now. Done number two. Really close. Thought I was done, but there's something here that needs resolving. I don't even know what it is, but sometimes I don't know what it is, but I'll know it when I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to call it done.
All right. You made it.
We made it to the end of that. Hey, thanks for joining us today. We had so much fun with this. Started off real abstract, just used a lot of orange. If you're into orange, this is your painting. So be sure and grab your brushes, paint along with me. Thanks so much. See you next time.